Welcome to the Tailoring Talk Show with your host, Roberto Revilla. I'm a bespoke tailor, menswear designer, and owner of Roberto Revilla London Custom Clothing and Footwear. I activate your superpowers through the clothing I create and the conversations on this podcast. We'll meet self-starters and creators to learn about their journeys while they share valuable lessons to help you be the very best you can be. Please support the show by subscribing, and it helps so much if you take a few seconds to leave a rating and a review. Today's guest is a client quality consultant who helps business owners land better clients and level up their business to be more attractive to high quality people. He's here to help us identify the 7 steps to landing great clients. And we are also going to make sure we talk about his amazing new book. Tailoring Talkers, please welcome Drake Nightenhelser to Tailoring Talk. Drake, how are you?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So you're kind of a bit of a digital nomad at the moment. So first thing, tell us where your wonderful accent is from.
The United States of America.
Yeah, but where? Because the United States is like 52
Indiana
countries. Indiana.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So if you like corn, we've got you covered.
Yeah, I don't mind
but
corn.
That's about it.
I don't know. I prefer corn where someone's actually taken the stuff off the cob for me rather than eating it on, because it gets stuck in my teeth and stuff. Anyway, but you're not in Indiana because you're kind of a digital nomad, because you and your partner are traveling around the globe. You're currently calling in from South Africa.
Correct.
Have you seen Jaws?
I have. I think we're actually going to go great white shark cage diving while we're here.
No way. But have you seen any already?
Oh, no.
Oh.
I haven't.
Oh,
I've seen like the movies. Sorry.
Don't worry, this podcast gets better. So you haven't seen any sharks yet, but you are gonna get to it.
I think it's whale season right now.
Oh, okay.
From what I understand, those two don't mix. It's either whales or sharks.
Don't the sharks eat the whales?
No, the whales eat the sharks.
Oh, like, is it orca season?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you've heard this thing, right, with the orcas? They're assholes. So they.
Oh, yeah.
Apex predator thing, but they've got this thing with great white sharks. They apparently the liver of the great white is a delicacy for them. So they literally just like sideswipe these great whites, take the liver, and then just leave the rest of it floating in the ocean.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Orcas are like, I don't know, they like the cat and mouse game of the ocean. They literally just like to play with their food and just like mess around with people because they're bored.
Yeah, exactly. As you can tell, I'm fascinated by all this stuff. Someone asked me, if you came face to face in the sea with a great white or an orca, which would you rather fancy your chances with? And I was like, I'm not falling for that free willy nonsense. I'd rather take my chances with the great white. So anyway, but speaking of sharks, orcas playing with their food and so on, we're here to talk about sales in essence today. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Your new book too, is that out yet? 7 Steps to Landing Great Clients by Drake Nightenhelser?
Yeah, it's on Amazon and it's available on all the major Amazon sites around the globe. Awesome. Wherever they do print on demand.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm going to buy it right now.
Awesome.
And then we're going to give our audience a little kind of flavor. We don't want to give everything in the book away, but I'll make sure that I also put a link to it in the show notes at the end of this. So, landing great clients, often it's something when we start businesses, we don't realize, because most of us, when we start a business, we're not taught any of this stuff. We kind of realize it as we go along. But most people, when they start a business, they then have got this thing. They need to go out there and get people to trade money for whatever it is that they do for them. And we generally, most of us will take anything that comes along. And we will, and we'll do it at whatever price we think we need to in order to get that customer. We really bend ourselves to acquire that client, quote unquote. And then a few years down the line, as our business is hopefully growing and flourishing, and when we look across our client base, we have got our favorites who we will do anything for, who generally are not price sensitive and let us do our jobs. And then we have this whole myriad of clients, quote unquote, who are kind of at the bottom, who are the people that when the phone rings, we're just like, oh my God, I really don't want to speak to that person because it's just a whole world of pain. Why the hell did I take their business in the first place? Oh, I remember, it's because I just started my business and I was desperate to get everything in. Is that something that you hear a lot? Is that something that you have found to be common in all your research and experience?
Oh yeah. I've worked with a lot of small businesses over the years. I've never really been the corporate type. Corporate just doesn't do it for me. So before I went out on my own, I always worked with small businesses, like your mom and pop shops that are like 5 to 10 people, right around there. Like that was my sweet spot. And you see that a lot because, you know, I think so many people that start businesses start it because they're really good at what they do. And they think, oh, well, if I'm this good, I can have a business. And then they go out and start the business. And, a little ways into it, they're like, oh, I need to learn some business stuff too. And in all of the stuff that there is to learn, on top of trying to manage your business and maintain your clients, this is just one of those things that seems to slip past people. And then one day they wake up and they're like, oh, I don't like my business. I don't enjoy my business anymore. And they don't know what to do about it.
And they're stuck because what they've done in starting a business, and it's all the reasons like, I don't want to answer to the man or do the 9 to 5 and have to punch in and punch out and be told when I can go on vacation, holiday. Freedom is probably freedom, and making more money is why most people probably go off on their own. And then they kind of find 5, 7, 10, 12, 15, 20, if they last that long, years down the line, that they didn't actually start a business. They just got themselves another job. They're just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
I think you see it a lot in the trades, roofing, things like that, where people go out and they learn the skill and they spend 10 years getting really good at running crews and doing whatever it is. Then they go, oh, well, why am I getting paid a fraction when I can go out and do this on my own and make all the money? And then they set out, and like, if just the roofing industry, for instance, I've got a brother-in-law who's in the roofing industry, and in that industry, you see wild amounts of turnover in new businesses. Like 90% of the new roofing businesses that start go out of business in their first year because the folks get out there and they realize, oh, there's all this business stuff too.
What were you? Sorry, I'm just going to skip back a bit because I probably should have asked you this before, because our audience is sitting there thinking, this guy sounds definitely more intelligent than me. How did Drake get to here today, author, helping people with these very big problems in business? How just give us a little bit of background and a little bit of your superhero origin story, if you like.
Yeah. So, the really sad part of that story at the beginning is that I spent like 10 years jumping from job to job trying to figure out what I wanted to do and all that stuff. And eventually I landed in sales. And this was in 2016.
Like most of us that have no clue what the hell we want to do when we're younger, right?
Right. So in 2016, I got this job running the sales department for a vehicle wrap company that was doing around 7 figures, but I had no experience in sales. All I knew was that I had the gift of gab, I was good at communication, and I had a lot of customer service experience. So because I didn't have the sales background, I showed up into this company to run the sales department and started asking, the idiot questions, right? Like, hey, why are we selling that? Why are we working with this guy? Because I'm looking around and I'm seeing these things that we're selling that are just making the team miserable, that aren't making that much money, that are, really sucking up the most valuable resources of, that our team has to offer on the people who aren't returning clients, that we're not making money on their project, that much money on their projects. So I'm saying, hey, like what are we doing? Let's switch this up. And this is a business that's been around for 20 years and just kind of fallen into that pattern that we were talking about, right? Where they're like, hey, like we figured this out enough to get by. They're not doing bad. They're doing well, but they're certainly not thriving, right? And I just kind of started looking around and asking those questions, and it sparked something in the owner, and he and I started working together. And 3 years later, the company was an industry leader that was expanding out into 5 states. We had dropped all of our bad, like difficult clients. We dropped all of our low value projects. We were really focused on providing one thing to one type of client, and we were doing really good at it. And because of that, like the amount of revenue coming from returning clients went, up by like 233%. So, whereas like around 30 something percent of our revenue used to come from returning clients, 3 years later, over 70% of our revenue is coming from returning clients. Companies that are just coming back saying, hey, I need another van rep. I need another one. Hey, whip up that invoice. Just run the card you have. And they were all just easier to work with.
Yeah.
So from there, I went out into high ticket sales, and I sold business opportunities, marketing services, divorce coaching. And eventually I got to a point where just doing the phone call after phone call after phone call just was too monotonous for me. And I started realizing that I wanted what I had at that wrap company. I wanted to get my hands in and like play and dig. And that led me into the question of like, well, what did I really do there? Right? Because I always looked at it as sales. But then I started looking at all like the business development things that I helped them do. And to try to understand it, I went through a deep process of dissecting what it was. And part of that process was actually writing the book that we talked about, to try and filter it out and figure out what it was. And from that, I dissected the system that we used in that 3-year period and turned it into a process that I can go in and help other business owners repeat.
Can we just cancel this call early so I can go buy your book, please? I mean, that is actually what I am going to do when we do finish. That's amazing. And what was the actual? I ask everybody like this question. Sorry, who has written their first book? What was that process like for you? What was the actual kind of process like for you of sitting down to do this thing?
Awesome question. So the first draft was something that I just had to get through because I didn't really know what the book was yet. I didn't really know what the process was yet. So the first draft was just kind of vomiting it all on paper. I created an outline that I was semi-happy with and just sat down at a coffee shop and just started banging out chapters.
Yeah.
And
Because
I wrote it in
had you started with the end in mind, like the problem that you wanted to help people to solve, or did you have a few things in your mind based on your experience, and it was trying to really work out how to get there and what that was going to look like?
a little bit of both. So I had an idea of what it was based on what I knew we'd accomplished at that wrap company, but it was also a process of discovering what the the process or the recipe that we went through was,
Yeah.
while also saying, okay, like what did it really accomplish, right? Because there were so many things that it did. Like, how do you like take this and like encapsulate it into one goal or one statement of achievement?
Yeah. See, and then so I got to be careful with how I broach this because I've promised everyone that we are going to go through 7 steps to
Mhm,
landing great clients, right? But we don't want to give everything away. So we want to kind of headline it
mhm.
and then kind of give some outline or some help, guidance, just to set people on the path. And then I want you lot to buy his book, okay? Support this guy. Um, So where do we begin? And I don't even know whether it's better to kind of take this from a clean slate point of view. Well, I guess it doesn't matter, right? Because it doesn't matter whether you are starting your business today or you have been in business for a couple of years or 5 years or 12 years like me or even longer. We starting, it's like, when's the best time to plant a tree, right? Yesterday. When's the next best time to
Right.
plant? Well, today. Well, I'm not sure yesterday, like 30 years ago. I think it's 30 years ago,
Right.
right? Yeah. When's the best time to plant a tree? 30 years ago. When's the next best time? Today. So we can all start planting this tree today. Like I'm actually, so I think I was telling Drake as we were in the process of setting this call up today, and he very kindly, I had to shift him around a little bit because we're going to be, I think I can say this now by the time this episode goes out, because it's kind of a secret at the moment. You see, this is how much I trust you just based on our limited communications so far. This is how awesome you are. But we're opening a new location in a very prominent part of London, which is very, very exciting.
Very.
You and your other half make it out this way at some point. Are we on your itinerary at some point when you wind your way back to the USA?
There are so many places to hit. There are a couple places that I want to hit, and I do have some other friends in the UK that I want to see. So I'm trying to set it up.
So we're opening this new location. We're moving our kind of admin side of the business there as well. And that inevitably is going to involve bringing over the two filing cabinets of voluminous client files that I have. And what I've decided over the next 3 weeks running up to the move is that I don't want to take it's like is it catharsis? I don't know. I need to, where's my dictionary? It's like I'm taking this opportunity to plant my tree
Hmm.
now. So nothing is coming to the new place with me that I don't want to continue doing. None of those cycles are coming with me. None of those habits. I'm leaving it all behind.
That's awesome. There's nothing like changing into a new environment to set new boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. So who's Marie Kondo? Is it Marie Kondo who does the how to sort your wardrobe, your closet out? Have
I
you heard
think
of her?
so. I saw all the hype about it a few years ago when her like Netflix show or whatever it was, or her was like
Yeah,
really
yeah,
popular, but
yeah.
I never really got into it because I've been a minimalist for a long time. I was already like, I don't have that much stuff. I'm good.
Oh man, I wish I was more like you. No, I am going to be more like you. Anyway, so um so her thing is, right, is when you're sorting through your closet, your possessions, whatever, if when you hold it in your hands, you kind of really look at it, and if it doesn't spark joy, get rid of it,
Oh yeah, 100%.
right? I mean,
Or if
that's
you haven't
my
used it in 3 or 6 months, probably not going to
yeah.
use it. Get rid of it.
If you're not, yeah, exactly, that's right. So and I tell people that with clothing, right? When you're looking to get a new outfit, it doesn't matter whether it's from me or anywhere else or you're in a store. When you're looking at something, if you love it when you see it, go for it because you're gonna love it and you're gonna use it. If it's something you're not sure about, don't do it. Now you apply that principle to when we're trying to find clients, right?
Hmm.
And so for me, step one is existing. When I go through each one of those files in alphabetical order, because I'm going to be packing them to take with me, if I hold one in my hand and I'm really kind of being repelled by it, because I'm like, God, really? It goes in
Hmm.
the shredder. I'm not taking that with me.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if that I've got the second problem to deal with a few months down the line when that person actually calls because they want something, and it's like, okay, we're gonna have to renegotiate our thing here, and you're gonna talk about that because I know that's something that you do cover. Um, and then the second thing, which I've already started working on, is taking that same principle of, does it spark joy? Energy, let's call it. I had someone call me last week, and through the conversation, the communication was a little difficult. I wasn't really feeling the energy. And I had something go through my head that an old boss told me that the principle is that be in tune with how the first interaction with because that probably is going to set the tone for the rest of your
Mm-hmm.
relationship. So if the energy's flowing and you're getting on well together, the communication's great, you get a really good feeling from this person, you can probably guarantee that 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, it's going to be like that. It's going to get even better.
Mm-hmm.
If at the beginning the communication's difficult, you're kind of not really feeling it, there's something off about the whole thing. Well, guess what? It's
It's going to
probably
keep
going to
being that
get,
way.
or even get even worse as time
Yeah.
goes on. So just stop it there, right?
You know what my favorite thing was when a customer would say, "All right, I'll pay this much, but if I do, all right, bro, let's just not do this.
Yeah.
You,
Let's just
you
stop this now.
yeah, you can have your credit card back.
Yeah.
Go be somebody else's nightmare."
Yeah. And it's kind of a baller move to do that, right? Because not many people do it. So people aren't used to someone saying that to them. The end result is that person then kind of thinks about it and says, no, actually, now I want to really work with this guy, which then causes the next problem. But anyway, when we're going out to find people, how do we make sure that we're getting the people that are the right fit for us?
Wonderful question. So the first thing I always like to tell people about this type of work is that it's going to go against the grain of what a lot of business owners are used to, because what we're so used to being sold as business owners is that the solutions to our problems are sales, marketing, right? The solution to all of your business problems is a better marketing process or a different marketing process or the next new flashy, right? The where the whole new versus old framework in marketing is used on us so much, and it's almost always sales or marketing to improve our businesses. This stuff is not about sales or marketing. It starts to move into that, but what we're really doing is we're going into the foundation of how you make choices for your business and what you're willing to accept into your business and what boundaries you're going to set around your business, but doing it through a lens of actually using data to decide that, so that you come out the other side with a business that is prosperous and feels easy and doesn't it's not something you have to force all the time.
Yeah.
So while it does, like I said, eventually move into the sales and marketing, most of it is really just shifting how you think about your business and what you're willing to accept into it, and like raising your standards. I tell almost everybody that I talk to about this that, if you're hitting a growth ceiling, if you're dealing with a lot of difficult clients, if you're not happy with your business for whatever reason, that are the standards that you have really great for getting you to where you are in business. But those things are indicators that those standards aren't going to take you any further, and it's time to raise the bar.
And not be afraid, right?
Right.
Because that's the other thing. I have this conversation with people and they say, well, okay, fine. I get that I need to probably get a blank piece of paper and write down, you know, the things that aren't making me happy. And then the things that do make me happy and make me actually love my work. And what it is about those people that I'm working for, the characteristics and so on, what it is about them, so I can start to build up my, I don't know, people call it different things, but for the purposes of today's conversation, we'll call it our ideal client avatar,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in the process of doing that, once I've got that, then we're saying that I need to cut all those people that aren't making me happy, but they're still bringing in some revenue. And I don't want to lose that. And people are so, because for me, I remember having this conversation with Wade Galt, the 3-day weekend entrepreneur. And I really do need to, I mentioned you to him in our pre-talk.
Mm-hmm.
I really need to get you two together. Wade, if you're listening to this, look this guy up, okay, because you guys are going to hit it off. And I said to Wade, right, I was like, some of these guys are a pain in the nut to deal with, but at the end of the day, they're still adding to our bottom line.
Right. Their money spends the same.
Yeah, I said, if I just go and get rid of them, what am I going to do? And he's like, well, use the time to, I mean, talk to me like, are you stupid? Well, just use the free time to go out and find more of the people who are actually going to keep you moving forward and help you to grow and flourish and make you enjoy your
Absolutely.
life and your work. Oh,
Improve
yeah, that
the
makes sense.
business overall, right? It opens up time to work on the business, not in the business.
Hmm.
I, I love that you're bringing this up though, because one of the things that I address in the book at the beginning, if you want to successfully implement these steps, is that financial stability is key. If you are in financial scarcity, it's really difficult to say no to any money. If you're not sure how you're going to pay your light bill next week, saying no to anything that is going to pay you is difficult. But when you have financial stability, it's easier to say no to what does not meet your standards to make room for more opportunity to say yes to what does.
Yeah.
But it's really important that as you go through the process of cutting out those bad clients, that you don't do it to such a severe degree that it puts you back in financial scarcity, because then you're just going to start the process over again.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's just, you need to figure out what your personal comfort zone with doing that is. With that wrap company, when we first decided to make those changes, probably around 30 to 40% of our revenue was represented by all the stuff we didn't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
But we didn't just go chop it all off, because the 30 to 40%, that was all the profit. We wouldn't have had anything left because we had a team to pay, we had a facility to pay for, we had equipment and materials to buy and all this stuff, right? So we just said, well, what's the worst of the worst? And we lopped that off. And then we waited a little bit. And when we were able to replace that revenue with the thing that we wanted to be selling, we went back to that list and chopped a little more off, and so on and so forth, until 3 years later, we were really selling like 95% of our revenue was that one thing we wanted to be selling. And I think so much of us get this idea. I kind of have a grudge against modern marketing a little bit, because the way we like to be marketed to gives us the wrong idea that everything needs to happen overnight. You're going to get this thing and poof, it's going to change. It's made us so that we don't recognize the value in slow but sure change.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking for that magic pill, that magic easy button, because that's what marketers sell us. But if you can if you can keep that mentality at bay and focus on making this process a marathon rather than trying to run it like a 100-yard dash, and focus on the change you can create with this in your business over a year rather than a month, right? Because all the marketers are like, how I can help you do this in your business in just 30 days.
Yeah.
Right. But if you focus on that year and just slowly but surely chipping away, a year later, you will look up and be like, whoa, this is amazing. I don't even recognize my business from what it was a year ago. And I know this because that's what we did. I experienced it. And it was one of the most rewarding moments of my life.
Yeah. And I've complained about that whole, snake oil selling kind of thing, and the number of prominent figures who previously were quite respectable who are now jumping on the whole, buy tickets to my seminar. I'm landing in Colorado like this weekend. You see it all over Instagram and so on. And I will promise you that by the end of that weekend, your life will change and you'll be making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, like from literally the next day, etc. And obviously people eat that stuff up, right? Because, I guess why wouldn't you? I've always lived by the maxim, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That saying is something everybody should keep forefront of their mind, especially in this day and age. But I mean, there are different ways to do it for different people. So I know I was sounding quite harsh earlier when I was saying that I'm going to look at my client files and then just start a bonfire in the existing place, chuck the ones that I don't want to take with me. That's not really what I'm going to do, right? Some of them will be going in there, but then there are others who, will need to be part of that kind of change business. So for example, I was in the workroom this morning and one of my newer clients came in, and the moment I met him and shook hands with him and welcomed him, I just knew, I just knew through every part of me that we were going to get on like a house on fire. And he was the type of person that I would literally run to the ends of the earth for, to give him the very best experience that I could. Um, and
That's who you
that,
want to be working with.
yeah, exactly. That's it. But he came in today and he had another try on of his first set of clothes. And he was so happy and he was so excited to be there. And we'd done the initial kind of first fitting a couple of weeks ago, and there was still some things that weren't quite right. But he was still so excited and so happy, and he's like, no, I totally appreciate this is part of the process. We've only started working with each other. And I said to him, I promise you, we've just got one more set of tweaks to do and then you're good to go. And then he placed another order there and then. And I said to him, okay, I said, but
Amazing.
like, I'm not going to deliver this one till next week. He was like, no, it's fine, right? Like, no questions, nothing. My workroom is a mess at the moment. I couldn't even write up his order. And I said to him, is it okay if I send the paperwork to you later? And he's like, yeah, fine. Just like paid what he needed to pay,
Just
went
charge the
out
card
really
on file,
happy.
man.
Just, yeah, like when you were in the wrap business and you got it to that stage. And then I said to my head tailor, I said, right, we need to get these tweaks done so they're ready for next week. So we get them over there for him, as I promised. I said, I really love him. I really love the fact that he lets me do my job. And, I think, and then the words just came out of my mouth and I hadn't even pre-thought it. I instinctively said, you know what I hope and I think is going to happen is in time, he's going to replace person who shall not be named.
The
Um,
person who
and
comes in, does his fitting, and is like, ugh,
yeah, well, Lucas said to me,
what
well,
is this?
when I said person who should not be named, let's just call him Voldemort. So when so when so when I mentioned Voldemort's name, Luca, my head tailor, said to me, "You don't want to get rid of Voldemort. He's like one of your best clients." And I'm like, the last time I saw him, and it's happened a few times to a lesser degree, but the last time I saw him, dude, I left his home and I felt like absolute shit. He made me feel like dirt. And I know how much he spends. And so that's the other thing, guys and girls listening. We're not just talking about like your clients who don't spend much money with you. We are also talking about the other ones that might spend a ton of money with you, but they make you feel like you are not worth any more than the dirt that comes off their front doormat. And that's
I've
how he made. And I was just like, one day I'm gonna like Dobby with his socks. I'm gonna free myself from you, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
find someone who's actually, you know, am I making any sense whatsoever?
so much so. I know exactly what you're talking about. And the thing that I think a lot of people don't recognize until they experience it, I think a lot of us fail to really stop and take stock when things like that happen, how much that bad energy that they've brought into your life takes to dissipate completely and get you back to powerful, good energy version of yourself that's doing what your business really needs. I would be willing to bet that if it were me for an experience like that, it's probably going to be like the rest of the day before I'm like kicked, like even remotely back in like the zone. And it's probably going to be another 2 days after that before I'm able to like completely shake it and get back to 100%, because I'm going to spend the next few days thinking about it and thinking about what I should have said and thinking about what I should have done and thinking about what a jerk he is and all these different things. And there's not, to an extent, I'm not going to like ruminate in it to an extent where it's like debilitating, but it's going to be kicking around there in the back of my head. And if I write some copy for my business, or I hop on a sales call, or I hop on a coaching call with clients, or I review something for a client, I'm not bringing my best energy to that, which means
But
I'm not building the business that I actually want.
But also because the way that we naturally react to those sorts of situations is so visceral. It's like, I don't know if it's like chemical reactions going on and physical reactions and stuff, but you just feel like a bag of crazy marbles or something. And you start second, even weeks after,
Hmm.
it's like a splinter in your brain and you start second guessing everything that you're doing just based on that one person and the way that you were treated and made to feel. You start second guessing everything you do. So the impact for some people, if you're the sort of person that's just like, whatever, put a hand up, we're done. I'll get on with the rest of my life. Great. That's great for you. When you're someone, I mean, like me, I'm an empath, which is a real problem a lot of the
Hmm.
time because I really feel and it can affect me for weeks and weeks and weeks. I had one in fact, actually, it was the same guy. Uh, when I first started, 6 months in, we went on a complete rebranding exercise because of that one person, because that it affected me that much.
Oh, wow.
My wife was like, "Are you crazy? Like, we've got like the logo and everything's really good. Like, people like it." And I said, "Well, like's not good enough, and I know I can't get 100%, but I need to
Right.
get to at least 85. And we're going to put the money in, and we're going to change this." And she's like, "Where's this coming from? Because it's like
It's
it's
coming
just
from, I'm
Jekyll
going to
and
show
Hyde."
him.
And that's exactly what it was. Yeah, it's crazy, but I guess the point I was trying to use that example from my own experience to sort of say to people that we're not just talking about, the people that come in and they argue about discounts and so on. It can even be those guys who on the surface are your ideal client because of maybe the money that they spend or the level of product they or service that they get from you.
Hmm.
But it's not just about the transaction, it's about everything around that because most of us are in a relationship, we're in relationship businesses where we serve people, and that's a two-way street.
Not only that, one of the most important parts about your relationship with clients and what you allow to exist in your business, what you allow to exist in your business is what it's going to continue to attract. So if you allow clients like that to exist in your business, if you work with clients that you don't want to be working with, if you sell a product or a service that you don't want to be doing, or if you're selling it for a price point that you just don't want to be selling it for, it's not worth it to you, that's what you're going to continue to attract in your business. People like that who want to buy that thing for that price. One of the prompts that I use with clients to help them shift their perspective is, if you could only get paid after your client got their desired result, what would that person have to look like in order for you to be willing to take that bet? And when we stop and think about that person, we think about somebody that person that we end up thinking about is very different from the person that you'd think of if you were asked the traditional avatar exercise of like, stop and think about who you want to work with. Tell me what they look like. How old are they? Where are they from? All those things, right? This gets into like the core of it. And when we take that and simplify it down into three characteristics, meaning three things about their situation that makes them easy to work with, and three mindsets, meaning ways that they think that are going to make them easy to work with and easy to deliver results to. Those three characteristics and three mindsets that you're left looking at somebody that you're just thinking, oh my God, if that was all I worked with, if all I worked with was people like this, business would be so much easier. Business would be great.
It's a question that I actually asked myself the other day. But
That's amazing.
yeah, No, totally. I mean, and funny enough, it was actually one of I love this guy. I don't even know if he listens to the. I'm going to name him James Reader because he's so awesome. Um, but you know, I asked a question of myself because he asked me that question. He said to me, so I said to him, you know, I told him about this big step that I'm taking with the business, and he was so happy for me. You know, he worked his way up in the industry that he's in, and eventually bought the business that he worked his way up in,
Mm-hmm.
and then he sold it a couple of years ago. So he's kind of just in that sort of exit thing at the moment. But he's living his best life in every way, shape,
Mm-hmm.
and form. But he's just also just such a great human being. I love being around him, the energy and so on. And he's so gracious with me as well. And, you know, he actually stood there across the other side of his kitchen island and he said to me, he said, you know, this is it now. This is you taking a big step. And he said, you're at the stage now where you can start to choose who you want to work with. You know, and then he gave me all the characteristics of the people that I hate working for. He was like, you don't want to be working for people who, you know, do this or do that, or who stand you up, or who, you know, make you do all this work and then they don't pay on time. And so then it's a whole and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I really wish I should be writing all of this down. But he basically was challenging me as well. Those are people I love working with. They've got a
Mm-hmm.
growth mindset, they're impactors themselves and they want that for the people that they have in their lives that they're paying money to do things for them, like me. Um, so yeah, we probably need to actually start putting some flesh on the skeleton of what we've been
Yeah.
doing, and again, without giving anything away in your book. Let's go one through to seven. What's the Drake Nightenhelser sort of view of landing great clients?
Yeah. So, step number one is all about figuring out what product or service you really want to be focusing on by looking at things like how much net profit does it have? Does it energize you? Is it easy to sell? Is it easy to deliver? And things like that. When we do this, well, first off, the reason why it's important to do this is that so many business owners end up in the cycle where they get a product or a service off the ground and then they move to another, then they move to another, then they move to another. Or, well, I'm already doing this thing and this other thing is so close to it that there's no reason why I can't do this one. So they start offering it. And then all of a sudden they have all these different products or services that require different fulfillment, different sales, different marketing. Now, and every one of those is essentially a business in and of itself, right?
Yeah,
So with the wrap company, we had, personal customizations, the guys who wanted racing stripes on their Camaros and stuff like that. We had people who wanted like full body panels, like hey, I want my whole hood to be carbon fiber. And then we had the people who wanted their whole car color changed, right? Then we had, you know, business owners who wanted to wrap their entire vehicle
yeah,
or their company, right? And that was what we ended up focusing on because it made us the most money. They came back time and time again. They were willing to pay a lot more for it because they got an ROI from it. So it just all made sense. But what is the one thing that makes the most sense to pour your energy into and focus on that one thing and get really good at it? Right. So that's step one, is figuring out what that one thing is. Step number two is figuring out who your best buyer is, which we do using the prompt I gave you and figuring out the mindsets and characteristics. Now we know what we should be focusing on selling people to, because the thing we're selling to them is if it's easy for you to deliver and it's easy to sell and it has high net profit, you're probably pretty good at it. And if you're pretty good at it, then it probably taps into your strengths, right?
yeah.
So that's going to be the best thing to build your business around. And when we're selling that to the person that is so easy to work with and easy to deliver results to, we naturally start setting ourselves up for a successful business. So that's like the first thing I do with my clients, is take them through those two processes and then have them grade all of their sales for the past 3 months or their past 100 sales based on those criteria. Did you sell your best payday to your best buyer? Step number 3 is going back and refocusing our messaging to sell that best payday to our best buyer. We have this tendency to really vaguely talk about what we do or to try and word it in a way that's attractive to everyone. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to talk about it in a way that is very attractive to that best buyer and not attractive to everyone else.
Sorry,
Right?
I'm just so Drake, just probably listeners heard a little, just a micro pause in Drake's voice, and it's because I'm grinning like a stupid idiot, and it's because I feel like a stupid idiot because a lot of what he's saying is stuff that I've basically done or am doing, and so I'm gonna be his best student. I promise. I'm looking kind of sheepish as well. Sorry, and continue, Master Nightenhelser. That
So
sounds
step
really
4.
cool. That sounds really cool, by the way.
Thank you.
Master Nightenhelser.
I'll have to
Anyway.
put it on my business card.
But I mean, depends what time of day you're giving your business card out because it could be taken out of context. But anyway, and continue.
So step number 4 is about going back and being fearless in how we're being transparent in our marketing around what we do, what we don't do, who we work with, who we don't work with, what results we're good at delivering at, what results we're not good at delivering at. If there's an elephant in the room, getting out in front of it, right? Because these things are all things that people are going to find out about eventually, especially the elephant. If there's an elephant in the room, somebody's eventually going to look over and be like, what, why?
Yeah.
Right? So being really openly transparent about that stuff is going to attract, again, it's going to attract the right people to you, and it's going to repel the wrong people, who don't match what you've identified that you want to allow into your business.
Yeah.
The next step after that, number 5, we're going to go in and we're going to reimagine our policies. So there's 3 different types of policies that I talk about. One is designed to protect us from the client. The second is designed to protect us from each other, us from the client from us. And the third is designed to protect the client from us. What we have a natural tendency to do as business owners when we're creating policies, we have a problem in the business with a client or something, so we create a new policy. And it's designed to protect us. The problem is that it can usually be seen for what it is. And even if this isn't what it is, it can come off that way as the policy saying, I didn't really care to get good at running my business. So instead, I just created this policy so that when things do go bad, they swing my way.
Yeah.
Right. And the high paying, high quality clients that we want in our business run from those policies when they see them. They're like, no, thanks. I've been down this road. I'll go over here to this guy. Then we have policies that are designed to protect both parties from each other. You see this a lot in the coaching and consulting world with like conditional guarantees, right? Hey, so if you show up to all the calls, you do all the work, you can show that you put in a true effort and you still don't get the results, we'll refund your money, right? It protects the client from a poorly conceived system, and it protects the company from a lazy client. But the best type of policy are the ones that protect the clients from you. They really just showcase your capabilities and your commitment to them. And, an example of this with the vehicle wrap company, what we ended up doing, all of our competitors were out there saying, let me back up just a step. The clientele that we were serving were business owners who were getting vehicles wrapped for their business, right?
Yeah.
So they really cared about the image of their company. The clients that we wanted really cared about the image of their company and how the public perceived them. And they were willing to pay good money for that, right? what our competitors were doing is they were saying design for your wrap is $150. You get 3 concepts. You choose one, just A, B, or C, flat out, and then you get 3 revisions. After that, if you still want to keep going, we'll charge you an hourly rate of $75 an hour, right? So a lot of business owners are coming that policy is clearly designed to protect the company from people who might use up a lot of the designer's time, right? But all the people who really cared went, I just want to know that I really love what I get, and I don't feel that way. This policy does not make me feel like I'm going to get what I want. So what we did is we created a design guarantee. It just said, hey, you come in, we'll give you 2 to 4 initial concepts, and from there we'll design until you're happy, period, right? So the business owners who really care about their company and what it looks like out on the road and are like, I just want to know we get this right. They're like really drawn into that. But what we did on the back end is we implemented procedures to make sure that didn't bite us in the butt and cost us money, right? So on the forward side, we're saying, hey, we're going to protect you from us. And then on the back end, we're creating internal procedures with how we operate to make sure that our own policy doesn't bite us in the butt.
Yeah. So you guys then took responsibility without putting that on the customer or making them feel like they could potentially be a problem.
Exactly. We gave them certainty that they were going to get the desired result that they wanted, which was a wrap that they would be proud to have represent their company. And, so our competition was charging $150 for design. We were charging $500, right? Yeah. So even though we were charging far more, because it had that guarantee, they were like, hey, I'll pay the extra money if you were going to promise me that I'm going to get what I want. Right. But then we also had better designers than our competition. So that made sure that we were able to get better designs in less time than our competition.
Yep.
We also implemented a policy, that's a procedure that said, hey, if a wrap reaches X point in the design process and we have not, nailed down why, they need to sit down and have a one-on-one with our designer. No more of this back and forth stuff through email. They either need to get on Zoom or come into the office and sit down with a designer with their designs. And in like 1 hour with the designer, all the problems would disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we had this to make sure, this procedure to make sure that we were protected, that this policy didn't bite us in the butt. Cool thing is, because we did all the stuff we've already talked about on the front end, we only really had to use that like 5% of the time. It was a pretty rare occasion. So that's step number 5. Step number 6 is really just about making sure that they have an amazing experience. And the number one thing you can do to make sure that your clients have an amazing experience is have a solid onboarding process. So many companies leave clients flapping in the dark. They sign on the dotted line. They give you their credit card, and they're going, so what happens next? Do I do something? Do you do something? Am I waiting to hear from you? Or what's going on? Right? That is the moment where they decide how they're going to show up for you as a client. Right?
Yeah.
When the sales process is how you show them how you're going to show up as a company. The onboarding process is how they decide how they're going to show up for you. And if your onboarding process leaves them feeling like we just talked about, that's how they're going to show up. And you're going to have problems. But by creating a better client experience and really just going in and consistently looking at how we can make things a better experience for them, people are experiential, emotional people. We buy for emotional reasons. We wrap it in logic. When we can make it a really amazing experience, those are going to be the people that go out and sing our praises to the world and leave great reviews and attract other people who want that same quality experience into our business. The people that don't want those experience, that high quality experience, those are the price shoppers.
Yeah.
Right? Those are the people who are like, I don't care about all that. Can you do it for half? No, sir, we cannot.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Right? Step number 7 is all about going through a process of consistently refining fulfillment to continually deliver better and better results, right? We're looking for ways that we can improve things during their time with us or as a result of what we do for them. So there are problems that occur during the process of what we're doing. And then after we successfully do what we're doing for them, that's a new problem, right? So if you custom tailor a new suit for a guy, then he's probably going to look down at his shoes and go, oof, I think I need some new shoes, right? That new suit introduced a new problem. And, the same thing is true for anybody else's business. When we're looking both at how we can make the suit be the best possible suit, but we're also looking at all the problems that that great suit creates and how we can solve those too, we start to create a business that our competition doesn't know how to compete with. Because when we package all these 7 steps together, we get a signature process, your way of doing things, of serving your specific type of clientele around your strengths in a way and at a level that your competition can't compete with. And that's when you start being able to charge whatever you want. This wrap company, we charged anywhere from like 30% to 200% what our competitors charged.
Mm.
And we didn't worry about it.
That's amazing. So I have a question. So in step 7, so you said, it's looking at the experience and the problem that so taking the suit as the example. So and this does happen a lot, right? They put my suit on and then they'll look at something else, usually their shoes, and go, okay, I need to do something about this. We launch footwear. If you take anyone else's business, so a new problem is introduced, but then if you go find a new product to offer to solve that new problem, are you then not desecrating the law of step 1, which is to find that one thing?
So the one thing, that's an amazing question. The one thing is what we want to focus all of our energy on selling and marketing. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the only thing we offer, right?
Okay.
So with the I'm not going to sell just if I'm you, I'm not going to market the fact that we sell shoes. I'm going to market and I'm going to sell you a suit, and on the back end, I'm going to sell you shoes. It keeps everything. That keeps the marketing process, the sales process, and the fulfillment process really simple. And then the end of that fulfillment process, you're just going, oh, hey, by the way, did you want this too? And they've already bought something from you. They already love you. So they're just like, oh yeah, I do have that need. Yeah, just how much is it? And they don't ask questions.
Yeah.
They don't go, well, I could get that for $10 cheaper down the road. Right?
No, it's just like, oh, wow, okay, I can solve that here too. Great. I didn't know that. Brilliant. It's almost like a bonus, right?
Right. There's also other ways you can look at doing that, right? So instead of, you can solve the problem in a different way. So if they look down at their shoes, you don't have to sell them shoes. You can say, I have a guy. Let me go pick up the phone and make an appointment with you at Augusto's. He does bespoke, like handcrafted bespoke shoes that you will love. And he gives all my clients 25% off their first pair. You're still solving their problem.
Yeah. So
and
you become a facilitator then, if it's something that you don't want to take on yourself. I mean, I like the idea that you focus on that one thing, because it makes it so much easier from the business owner's point of view in terms of how they're channeling their messaging, their marketing, and so on and so forth. Because, like the problem that we have is we do so much because we can literally top to toe. There is an argument that we should actually be messaging it as that. But anyway, that's a story for another time. And then from the customer's point of view, it eliminates confusion from them, because they're initially coming to you for that. They don't know about all the other stuff that you do, but then generally we don't need them to, I guess, because that can lead to confusion. when like, oh, okay, right, well, actually, because I do get this from people in my industry, when you get customers like, oh yeah, I went to this outfitters, and then I went in and then I walked out again because I just didn't know where to start,
Hmm.
because I thought I was going there for that, but then there was all this other stuff, and then I didn't know which problem I needed to start solving. Um, wow, that's a real kind of shift in,
Hmm.
thinking.
Well, the hardest part about business is sales and marketing, right?
Yeah.
And the place where people fall flat is a lot of businesses don't go in and actually really refine their marketing and their sales process to be clean and smooth and attract the right people. Mostly because they're trying to sell and market seven things. You have the bandwidth to do that and to do it properly and to learn the skills that you need to learn and to find the experts that you need. You have the bandwidth to do all that when you're only selling one thing. But you can also, I just had a brain fart. I
So
forget what I was going to say.
no, that's okay. Let me talk about the
Hmm.
analogy that was running through my head, because it's like a movie inside here. So I think very viscerally in images and stuff. And but what, like what you were saying just there, it's like, don't pick up a whole load of mud and try and throw it at a wall to see what sticks.
Hmm.
Really kind of hone down on what it is that you're about and what it is that you do for people, so that you become like the sniper who
Hmm.
sets himself up in the eagle's nest, takes one bullet. Snipers don't put multiple bullets. They don't put a chain of bullets like you do with machine gun people. These images of
Yeah.
Stallone and Arnie from the 80s movies, right? Literally, they just run in and they're just kind of blasting the thing all over the place.
Hmm.
They put one bullet in one gun, they aim their sights, and they hit the target,
Hmm.
rather than this scattergun approach. I think,
100%.
yeah, exactly. I like that.
And like we talked about, you can still offer other things. Like at the wrap company, what we did is we designed logos too. We did what were called wall murals as well, where you like basically is a wrap for a wall, right? We used to sell those things on the front end. If somebody called and said, "Hey, will you design a logo for me?" We'd say, "Yeah." And as things progressed, they'd say, "Hey, will you do a logo for me?" And the question was, "Well, we only all do logos for existing clients. Are you planning on doing a vehicle wrap as well?" No. Okay, well, let me connect you with somebody who can help you out then. We don't do just logos, right? But if somebody came in looking for a vehicle wrap and their logo was needing some some love, I'd say, hey, so out of curiosity, this is a pretty big, decision, and we want to make sure we get it right the first time. You don't have to go back and change it. Are you guys happy with your logo the way it is? Because I want to make sure that we don't have to like redo your design and like tear your wrap off and rewrap a vehicle and go through that whole expense if you think you're going to go ahead and change your logo. They'd say, well, we were actually thinking about doing that. Great. Is that something you wanted to wrap up in this project? Easy, right?
Yeah.
With wall murals, a lot of companies wanted to get what was essentially a wrap for like the reception of
Mm-hmm.
their business that was
Yeah.
branded for their company. Somebody calls us up out of the blue and says, "Hey, I was wondering if you do a wall mural for my office." No, I'm sorry, we can't. But if an existing client who's done 20 vehicle wraps with us calls, says, "Hey, I want to do a wall mural. Let's go, John. When can I come over and take measurements?" Right?
Yeah.
You're cleaning up the front end to make sure that it's manageable and maintainable and it's bringing the right people into your business to buy the right things.
Yeah. So, but that then, so again, using that example in the vehicle wrap business, but that was a result of step number, whichever one it was, which talked about number three, I think, which was
Refo-
defining your policies,
Mhm.
right? Because you would have to do that, because the guys you were working with that were running that business, they would have been in the habit again of, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll design you a logo. Yeah, we'll do you a mural. Yeah, you want your vehicle wrapped. Yeah, you want, you know, Viper stripes down your Mustang. to get
Right.
out of that habit, I'm guessing that you that was part of your policy creation process. And then it was like, okay, guys, when someone asks you something, take a deep breath, count backwards from 5. And while you're counting backwards from 5, here's the new policy manual. And just kind of have a look at, if this, then I say that. Did you have to do a form of that to get people to really get on board with this new way of thinking, doing things, and not snapping back into the old yes, yes, yes habits that they were already in?
We didn't have to do that. So
Oh,
it was a seven-figure sales department for a seven-figure business, but it
okay.
was a one-man department. So I was doing everything.
Right.
So when I created a policy, it was really easy to
It
keep the
was
team on
right.
point, because I
Yeah.
was the
Because you were,
sales
yeah,
team,
right.
right? But the hard part was convincing the owner that these policies were the right move because he was so stuck in that long-term money is money, revenue is revenue, don't look a gift horse in the mouth mindset.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as
But now
Yeah.
I've introduced an interesting question, because if you
Mhm.
have got somewhere where there are more people responsible for that, so you've got more people on the front line that maybe are dealing with customers or responsible for client acquisition or whatever, um, I I mean, I guess I imagine that that's what I would have to do. I mean, not just for them, but also for myself in my own example. Because even today, as much as I learn continuously, as much as I read, as much as I make notes in my new Bible of I'm not doing this anymore, I'm doing that, or I'm going to move to the, you still find yourself in situations every other day where something happens and someone asks you to do something and you go, yeah, sure. And then you'd be like, damn it, why the, oh God, and now I've got to fulfill it. Because I
Yeah.
can't call them back and say, look, I'm really sorry, that was old me, but we don't actually do that anymore.
The way I would have handled that when I was in sales, I was really big on keeping my word. So even if I misquoted something on a price, unless we were going to lose money on the price that I quoted, I would do it for what I quoted and I would just let them know, hey, so I do want to let you know, John, like I messed up on your pricing. So we're going to do this for the price that we said we would. But at this price point, it has to be a one-time thing. If you want to do another wrap like this next time, it's going to be this price. And I just want to be upfront and let you know that so that if that doesn't work for you, you can make whatever decision you need to, right? But along those same veins, I would just call them up and say, hey, so I made a little bit of a mistake. We don't actually offer this anymore. We decided not to offer this anymore, and I'd forgotten. We'll go ahead and do it for you. But I just want to let you know that if you want to, just so you know, so there's no like miscommunication, that if you wanted this again, we would do it. I'm going
But
to keep my
what
word,
if?
but I'm going to
Yeah,
communicate with you.
no, and that's great. I totally. But then what if? So now I'm going to go another step further.
hmm
What if by making that mistake, you've let a wolf through the door? And I don't like using that analogy because I actually really love wolves,
hmm
but you know what I mean, right?
Like the three little pigs kind of wolf,
That one.
like the
Yeah.
bad wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, although I can kind of understand because he was probably just really hungry.
Right.
But anyway, sorry. Um, yeah, that like you've literally like even if like so for example, someone calls up and it's like, hey, can I just do one of this, right? Can I just get you to put Viper stripes on my Mustang, or can you just do one shirt for me?
hmm
And typically that that type of person is just all shades of trouble. Do you still honor it, knowing that this could lead to a lot of grief, headache, and anguish if you don't deliver whatever the hell it is that is in their head in terms of expectations?
So, following through and keeping your word while communicating that you made a mistake and you won't do it again is a whole separate issue from am I going to put up with bad behavior from a client?
Yeah. Okay.
Bad behavior from a client that like I'm going to decide what my boundaries are for client behavior, and if a client crosses it, I'm going to let them know they crossed a boundary and that that's not cool. And if they keep doing it, or it's so bad that like a warning isn't even warranted, like we had one guy that came in that was just um, hyper particular, and as well, even though our project manager, who was a woman, was the primary client contact, he always insisted on speaking with a man. He would never directly say, I don't want to talk with you, I want to speak with this, like, because you're a woman. But after so many times, you were like, okay, you just don't want to, like, he would come to me because I sold him and be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, that's a her thing. Go talk to her. And then the next time he would come back and do the same thing. And after so many times, I was like, okay, I think we should just stop working together. We can't do anything right for you. And you won't deal with the person that you're supposed to deal with, because as far as I can tell, because she's a woman. So let's just not anymore. I'm 100% not against saying, hey, look, I don't think this is working out. Here's 100% of your money back. Have a nice day. And in that instance with that gentleman, we gave him all of his designs, everything. Like, it's just like go away. Here's all of your money back. Not on projects that we've done in the past, but on whatever we were doing on that project, right? Here's the designs that we did for you on your past vehicles. Everything you need to go find a new vendor and be happy without us. Please go. And we just respectfully refund him all his money and send him on his way and say, I'm sorry, we can't do this.
Yeah. Wow. That makes so much sense. You might laugh at this. I had a situation once where all sorts of things went wrong. I probably shouldn't have taken the order in the first place. I set parameters and said, right, if we're going to be able to do this, this is what needs to happen. This is what you need to do. Are you going to be okay with that? Yes, yes, yes. As soon as the transaction happened, all of that went out the window. Abuse, 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 right? You get this. So I said to my wife, I said, because she's my business partner, and our finance director, and I said, listen, this account here, this is not good. I need to free myself from the situation. So we'll fulfill it, but then I want to refund all of his money so that he does not have the benefit of any of our further guarantees, customer service, and so on.
Perfect.
Right?
I love it.
And she agreed, and she said, honey, right thing to do. It's bad energy. I can see how it's affected you and some of the team. Not a problem. Go ahead. So I refunded his card, and I wrote to him, and I told him. And I told him politely why I did it. This isn't working. I took responsibility, and I said, as I've told you in person, I probably shouldn't have taken your order in the first place. I thought that I'd done everything that I could to avoid the situation that we're in. And obviously I didn't do enough. And so I think this is best for both of us. And I hope that we just part as friends and,
Yeah, I'm sure you did this, but for people listening, when you encounter a situation like that, the absolute best thing to do is to use language that puts it on you.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, so I'm really sorry. When you came in to buy this, I knew that we weren't going to be the best fit to serve you for your need. And I sold you anyway, and I shouldn't have. I'm really sorry. I just, there were aspects about this project that I didn't think about at that time. And I'm like, use language that just politely puts it on you to move them away. I'm sorry, I forgot that we are not a good fit for you. You're not a good fit for us. We are not a good fit
for you. So here's the thing,
right?
You'll laugh at. So, so if anything happens, like with something I buy and I go back to the store and they're like, okay, we can't fix this or whatever it is. And they say, we're just going to give you your money back. And you're like, okay, fine. You move on with your life. This one, is still messaging and trying to call me like weeks and weeks later. Anyway, like we don't need to get into it. I just wanted to share that story with you because I thought you'd find it both amusing and highly distressing at the same time. So
A
yeah,
little bit distressing. Yeah, when you hit that last part where he still messaged you, I'm just like, some people, you
I
just,
was like, yeah, I know. I was just like, okay, I've refunded your money, right? I have released myself and you from all of this, and you're still asking
yeah,
for things to be done in relation to the thing that you now do not actually have any rights over,
yeah,
etc., etc. But I think the point of the story is, as well as it's kind of amusing now that time's passed, is that there's always going to be these anomalies in the world. But if you've done the foundation work and you know what your boundaries are and you know what your policies are, you can ride through anything.
yeah. If you implement all 7 steps and you stay true to them, you're not really going to experience a lot of those people anymore. They're never going to make it through the front door.
Yeah. Um, dude, I have really loved hanging out with you, and I'm really conscious of time for you more than me because I could, like, literally, I could carry on.
World's first 7-hour podcast. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, our James Bond episodes have gone on, some of them for quite some time. I think we had one that was nearly 3 hours.
Oh my.
But I'm not going to do that to you. And also, my cat's just jumped onto my keyboard. So he's probably telling me you two have been going on enough. But I have really just loved hanging out with you, and I would love to do it again. And
Yeah, absolutely.
honestly, thank you so, so much. So everybody who's still here, Drake has a web link that I'm going to put in the show notes, and it is resources.profitcollective.vip/3 simple steps. And this is where you get ready to get crystal clear on how to start landing great clients. The training that Drake provides here walks you through 3 of his biggest secrets for landing those clients that you've always wanted, the ones that are a perfect fit for your business. So you go to that link, sign up. It's just really easy. There's a little YouTube video that Drake's got embedded there. You can watch that, and then there's a button that you click to get your tracker sheet and so on. It's not a sales pitch at all. Drake comes from a place, and I know this now from spending well over an hour with him, of genuinely wanting to help people, and at least provide that kind of guideline framework to get you on the path that you need to be on. And then obviously, if you then feel like you need extra help and you want to take that step and work with him, then by all means, you're absolutely free to do that. Did I hit that right, Drake? Anything that you'd like to add?
You couldn't have said it better. I'm a huge fan of what I jokingly refer to as the old show them you can help them by actually helping them trick. Um, there's nothing better in marketing than actually helping people, not just giving them the what, not just telling them the how, but actually showing them that you can do what you say you can do. It's literally the best marketing out there for a couple reasons, and it's also part of what comes down to attracting great clients. If I want you to go out and go through that training and get results from it and get good things happening in your business, it's designed to be enough. It's not designed to be 50% of it so that you have to come buy from. Like, go get results. And if you like it, if you like what it does for your business, if you like what's in that, if you like the way I do things, if you like my methods, if you like the values that I instill in everything, then you might like working with me. But if you don't, then great. That's wonderful. That means that we're not the right fit to work together, and you are now free to go find somebody who is.
Yeah. Brilliant. I think a better way to end it. I'm on board, so I'm signing up for everything, and I am going on Amazon right now. And as soon as we get off this call, I am putting your book in my basket and buying it, and that will be my reading for the next couple of weeks.
Wonderful.
So Drake, yeah.
One last thing I'd like to say about the book, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely.
This book is about a fourth of the length of a traditional nonfiction book, and it's very intentionally written that way. There's no fluff, there's no filler. It's literally get in, get what you need, get out. Business owners are busy, and like one of my biggest pet peeves is, having to read a book for 4 hours to get the 30 minutes that I wanted. So you should be able to read this book in about an hour.
Brilliant. So yeah, I'm just looking on Amazon for everybody at home, and but it'll be available by the time this goes out. We're recording today on the 15th of September 2023, and Amazon is telling me, and actually this might be useful for you, Drake, over here in the UK, I can get the hardcover on Friday the 22nd of September. And the paperback, I can get it on Sunday, the 17th of September.
Oh, okay.
And the Kindle edition is available instantly. And they're all priced the same. They're all priced at just under £20. So there we go. I'm going to get the paperback, so I get it 5 days earlier. And then I can carry it with me. I can carry it with me in my bag for the whole of next week. In between all my client appointments, we just reading a few more pages of 7 Steps to Attracting Great Clients by the awesome Drake Nightenhelser. Drake, thank you so much. Have you had fun today?
Oh, loads. This is honestly probably the best podcast I've done.
Oh, thank you. Under the brownness here, I've gone bright red. But no, honestly, you've been truly wonderful. I have really loved hanging out with you, and I hope everybody listening has as well. And will you come back once I've read your book so that we can talk about that? And yeah, I will be implementing as well, so we can then get into it from the other side. And hopefully I won't be asking as many stupid questions.
There's no such thing as a stupid question.
Exactly. That's what I tell my wife.
After you ask a question.
Yeah, basically. Brilliant. And she's like 100 episodes behind, so she won't get to this until 2029 or something. Drake, thank you. Have an amazing time in South Africa. And you will also have to get in touch with me and let me know when you have been shark diving. I want to hear all about it. And where are you off to next after this?
We're headed back to Georgia, and then we're gonna hit Russia for New Year's so that my girlfriend can ring in the most important holiday for Russians with her family for the first time in 12 years.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we will hopefully stay in touch. Again, thank you so much. And thank you all so much for joining Drake and I on this episode. Don't forget, we are on Instagram. I still don't see the point, but anyway, at Tailoring Talk Podcast. And I love feedback. So you can email me the usual place in the show notes. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review. And you can also click the share button in your player. Very important. Send this episode on to someone you know who might get some help or be inspired by what Drake shared with us today. And if you're enjoying Tailoring Talk and want to support the show, you can go to the buymeacoffee.com link in the show notes. Have a great week, be good to each other, and I will see you on the next one.